Dandelion here, and it's hard for me to know what to bring you that's going to be the most important. I woke up, well, I won't tell you. I had a dream last night, and I woke up decoding something in the middle of the night, and I'm still trying to remember that. But this morning, I found something that I think is really important. What's been on my mind is that the most important thing that you can remember is your inner stillness, and what Yahshua taught about if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, move. You can say, so I did mustard seed and move right here. I'm going to do mountain. But what I noticed, I was looking at some foreshadowings in various media, and I've noticed there's been a lot of radio hints. So I looked at radio. It has the D for the dome in the middle. The dome is the firmament. Ra is, I'm coming to believe this is the Egyptian Adam. And EO are the hours in the day. So when they put the numbers, like here they have the numbers FML or FMI, I couldn't tell, probably FMI. And then 92.3. So they're talking of something about the Egyptian Adam, the original creation after the four sounds of the Ankh. The four sounds of the Ankh are the A and K and H sounds, and I have a video about this. They're primordial sounds like infinity and its opposite, other things and its opposite, and they're sounds. And then those are called the Ogdoad, and then the ninth thing is Ra. So that's why I come to believe that is the Egyptian Adam. So I just want to tell you about the radio situation, because in one of the foreshadowings I saw about the radio's tuned to this station, and then the main character is hit by a white truck. I've been seeing this number Q a lot, and I have been perplexed about the number Q, about the letter Q showing up in the middle of a word, because when it shows up in the middle of a word, we know that it's the core and it's important. And I just, one of the ideas about the Q is it's the power symbol. It's the partial power symbol. It's like the, I don't know if you can see it drawing. I'm holding too many things to point it out to you. It's like the power symbol in motion. See the thing that's penetrating the egg right there. It's like, that's the shape of the magic. It could also be the shape of the magic sword and the chalice. This is the floor plan of the UN, and it's a conception sign. Now, but not only that, I was really confused about this, but this shows it in motion. We see this in Paris. If you go look at my video about Paris and the twins in Paris, there is a circle there, and I think I dreamt about that too. But there's a circle there, and it has this line going through it, and that line goes to Montségur, which is the site of the Cathar, where all the Cathars were killed. Well, anyway, that has to do with the power of Rome over original spirituality. So back to the Q, though, because the Q, I believe, has something to do with the mustard seed and say to the mountain, move. I haven't actually found a Q in here, but I just believe this. Now, we know that they worship Pi and they worship Phi, and we've talked a lot about Phi. And I woke up, I had a dream about decoding the word elephant, and in the middle of the word elephant is a PHA, which I have it written here. The PHA has a 1681, which is very close to how Phi is actually written, a 1618. So it just has the H and the A inverted in that word. And that's the center of this word, kind of, well, the PH is really the center. And the Ant is actually an oath. But I don't want to get on too much of an aside. I just want to show you the Phi there. Now, if you add P and H, it adds to 25, which is code for pi. And pi and phi have an intimate relationship with each other, and they're both numbers that are worshipped by the Illuminati. Now, the reason why, if you're new to my videos, I'm beginning to skip a lot of steps because my videos are getting very long, and so I'll just try to go back and hit some spots. But so pi is 16 and I is 9. That adds together to 25. So when you see the 25, that is code for pi. It really is. Also, if you see an H and an I, that is code for pi. So it's better to say hi than it is to say hello, because hello is actually a curse word, and hi is actually you're wishing them a good circumference, basically. So that's a little better. Just want to bring this to you. Okay, so it's the pi and the phi. All right, so back here, because I want to get back to the Q that we saw in white, because white is a very important word in all of our symbolism. And let's look at it for a second. The first letter is W, which is a 23. The center of the word is high. I've told you this. This is pi. But here, it adds to a 17. Now, this is also the first two letters of Hawaii, or this is also the, abbreviation of Hawaii. And that's important because Hawaii is the 50th state, and it's the final state. And all of our states are coded perfectly. And this is not where Obama was born. He was born in Hawaii, Kenya. But still, Hawaii matters. Hawaii is, H is P in Greek. So H is, so HI is pi, just straight in the Greek. So Hawaii is pi, and that's why Obama was born there. And that's, I don't want to get off on Obama, but okay, so off on a track. But now, this HI equals Q, because it's a 17 and Q is the 17th letter. Now, I know that things feel urgent and you feel like maybe you don't have a lot of time for code left, but I think we have something that's useful here. And I'm going to eventually figure out what this has to do with say to the mountain move, because that is what you need to do in these final days. Yahshua taught you, say to the mountain move, have the faith. You have to be in the stillness of your truth, of your inner truth, the kingdom of God within. And then you say to the mountain move, and it will move. And you can do that on any subject. What if you see a comet in the sky, you can move that. You could do that on any subject. But you can't go into fear. You have to stay in stillness. Or you can go into fear, but you have to come back to stillness. Well, anyway, the reason why I think 17 and Q is important, and we know that the white is important. I've told you about the White House having the architecture that has a Lord code in the windows. Windows is an important word. All of these words are very important. Windows are made out of glass. Glass is a sign of the dragon. Glastonbury's where they bury dragons. You can see how the videos can get long. All right, well, anyway, this Q is an interruption of phi while being pi. So I think they are saying here, the code here on white is that if you are white or pure, you can interrupt phi. Now, phi is an ongoing, it's like a program. It's an ongoing circle. But what I want to show you here is look what interrupts phi in the number line. That's Q. This is P, and this is R. So it's like a 6 and a 9. It's like an F. It depends on where what you take this to be. It could be a P or an F. If it's a P, it's the chi rho. If it's an F, it's the F in freedom. F and R, freedom. And I went over this with the Bride of Christ symbolism and the Muppets having to do with frog. There is a lot of depth in the word frog, a lot of dates. Okay, well, Q, okay, now look at the symbol here of phi. So think about the picture. Okay, let's go back to Q here. Look at Q. It's pulling the one out of the circle, just the shape of the Q. It's interrupting phi. Now, the other thing that comes to mind is in Star Trek, which has tons and tons of code in it. And they have Q, the omnipotent and naughty, and seems like he's a naughty, selfish, unevolved god. And this is the theme of the Greeks and their gods, and the humans and the Anunnaki, because the gods were much naughtier than the humans, and that's the same idea with Q and Star Trek. Well, guess what? Q interrupts the flow. Usually it seems for the better, even though he doesn't actually he's not actually well-meaning, seems like, but he does interrupt it for the better. And he does intend to induce wisdom. So I feel like this is a major clue. And I think that this Q, because it's in the UN, and it means pi, and it's also the power symbol. And I believe this is also a sign of the solar Eiffel Tower man in Paris that I found. And I showed you his head and how his brain is severed. This is that sign too. See how it's moving. It's moving towards phi, which is a fully severed brain. This is also on the back wall of I Pet Goats 2, where the two presidents are there. And the brain is severed, and on there it's severed by lightning from heaven, which is Hebrew for, I believe it's Hebrew. I could be wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong, guys. I believe it's Hebrew for Barack Obama, lightning from heaven. Okay. Well, anyway, I just think the Q is a big clue here, and I wanted to bring it to you right away. My encouragement is that the Vatican has spent thousands of years disempowering you with guilt and how you are wrong and how you need to fix yourself. We all make mistakes. I don't think we need to argue about whether we all make mistakes or not. Sometimes the people who take on the hardest lifetimes, they do that with love and devotion for the truth, and they will be the ones making the most mistakes because they took on the biggest sandwich and they're trying to chew it. So I think that the way to embrace your faith and your ability to say to the mountain, move, is to deeply and once and for all forgive yourself for all things, because everything that you hold against yourself is Vatican brainwashing, and it disempowers you. They want you to be disempowered because your heart is good. Imagine if we just had a few people here who were empowered enough to say to the mountain, move. Well, we could shut them down without even lifting a finger. So they want you to be crippled with guilt. Don't play their game. Don't be crippled with guilt. Be brave enough to see the larger plan. And I believe that if they have this symbol in the UN is a 35, which is an eye, it's the dome. So it's all symbolic. They're actually using this power symbol inside the eye. If this is your first video with me and you have never heard about the eye cosmology, maybe you shouldn't worry about it. But there's a few videos. One of them's called the Globus Cruciger. And in that video, I talk more deeply about where to reference the back information about the eye cosmology and how the Egyptian codes will tell you the truth that your school did not tell you about brain symbolism and the eye. Okay, well, anyway, what I want to say is this Q is a power symbol for the dark. That means it can be a power symbol for the good. Not that separating the brain is a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea, because I think that humans are designed to integrate the right and left-hand side of their eyes and their brains, and I think that that is our gift. But something about this symbol, which does equal pi in the words of HI, interrupts phi. and I think it will interject your own creation and your own will. Now, if you have will that's heart-based and comes from love, your will is aligned with truth, and it will be powerful. And you are supposed to be a creative agent of love and truth. You're not supposed to stand there with your hands in your pockets waiting for a hero to appear from the clouds. You're supposed to have the kingdom of God within. All right, well, I hope that is an encouraging message. I'm going to work on the mustard seed. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to find a 17 in here. I did find the center is a 20, which is T. This is the cross behind the eyes. This is where the eye of good meets the eye of evil, and there's a point back there called the chiasma, and it's right in front of the pineal gland. Christ was crucified between the two eyes on Golgotha. He does symbolize the pineal gland, which is your inner knowing. Your inner knowing, not what you were taught, your inner knowing. So here we have the T symbolizes in the middle of this word. The T symbolizes, first of all, it's a 19 plus a 1, which not only, so it's the crossing, and Ra is the X. Oh gosh. Okay, I have to flip the phone, or I can't write with my other hand. I'm holding the phone with the wrong hand. Okay, so picture this. R is 18, A is 1, that's 19. This is the sign of Ra. And the reason why I'm telling you that, okay, so 19, the digital root of that is 10. In Roman numerals, that is an X. Well, that's the same as this cross right here. Now, but the reason why this is a 20 instead of a 19, it could be the Kollel rule of decoding, which I've told you about before, but I believe it's actually Ra, which is the original first creation after the sounds, which would be in the beginning there was the word, and those are the sounds of the Ankh, the Ogdoad. So this is the Egyptian Adam plus the awakened pineal gland, the all-seeing eye within. Just because the dark uses this does not mean the light can use this. The reason why they are using it and scaring you with it is because they don't want you to use your own pineal gland. They want you to go and drink a soda pop, which has fluoride in it, and use your toothpaste and choke out your own pineal gland, so then you're confused and in the dark and you have to listen to other people. But this T right here in the middle of mustard is the empowered Adam, the empowered creation. Okay, over here, mus is 53. This is the look word. This is the look sign code. 53 is the opposite of 35. 35 is the eye. 53 is the mirror of that. They love mirrors. It also equals look. And I've done a lot of code for you, which equates this to attention and look. So it's saying look at the atom with the integrated pineal gland, and then we have a 23 right here. And I believe this is your challenge. This is the challenge. So this is the mustard is the code that's within this word is the challenge of the de-evolving man. So the awakened Adam needs to challenge this. This is an everyday thing. You know it, and I know it. You know how I do cores and the valence fields on these words. Oh my gosh, getting into a long video again. Anyway, this adds up. The 53 and the 23 adds up to 76. That's the spirit of 76. The gas stations have this. They have it over a sun. That is not our sun. That is a different sun. But the spirit of 76 has to do with astral travel. And what it has to do with is you go out to the astral, which in the case of Gilgamesh, long time ago, the astral was the 7th dimension, and it might still be the 7th dimension. But when Gilgamesh came back to his body, it was the 6th dimension. We are no longer in the 6th dimension, we're in the 3rd. So astral travel, if you're going to the 7th, is a little more challenging. Most people only go to the 4th, and it's quite a wild west in the 4th. But 7th is really where you get the good information. But then, so what they're saying is this is a spirit of freedom. If you can access the knowledge here and bring it back to your body, then you are free and you have consciousness. And that's why they put this on the gas station. The oil is the consciousness. Now, of course, if we add this 76 to the 20, which is the evolved and integrated raw, the atom, the first creation, then we have 96. This is the GO. This is the part of the GO part of the frog word. If this is your first video with me, I know I sound like a nutcase. I'm really, really sorry. Welcome to my channel. I mean to comfort you and bring you the best and fastest code that you can use. And you may have to go back and look at some videos. So if you look in my videos for all the 816 and the 96 codes to understand more about what I'm talking about on this, if you want to figure that out. Well, anyway, this is the GO, because GO is 715, and that's the 196th day of the year. That's the movement from the 9 to the 6. This is the 9th dimension to the 6. This is the movement of what the ancients called the gods. They moved from they fell actually, but they moved from the 9th to the 6th. Now, true freedom is to get back out, the 6 to the 9. That's why F and R is a 6 and an 18. That's the Bride of Christ number backwards, and it's the freedom number. And it digital root is a 6 to a 9. Now, there's also a lot of good work being done on the supposed speed of Saturn. I don't know how anybody believes them that that's the actual speed of Saturn. I don't actually believe them. I think what's happening is they are taking this number, which is a freedom number, and they are turning it into something dark and scary, which is Chronos and the Father Time, so that you will turn away from this number. When you see this number, you will just turn away and you'll say, oh, that's the evil. Those are the evil people of Saturn, and you won't study this number and figure out what it means. I think that's what that's all about. Okay, so mustard is really, if you bring it all the way to the final code, it's those who from the heavens came. If you have the faith of a mustard seed. Seed is the master. Not only that, but seed has the sacred geometry of the almond. Now, if you can go see my video, I just put a video up having to do with Timothy Barger's work on the sacred geometry and the Hebrew connections and etymology in the Hebrew and in, I believe, maybe English. It's a few days now since I've seen the video. He talks about the sacred geometry of the almond. So not only is this a master word, but the whole shape, the whole picture ties in here. Plus we have Ra, we have the up and down pentacle. These are both 5s. This is a double trident. And we have the dome, which is the firmament. So this word could not be more perfect. So if you have the faith of a mustard seed, and this is the master. Now, they consider themselves to be the master. 23 is the lowest number on the path to mastery. The lowest, where the starting point is 22. That's the Ham number of Abraham. Then it goes to 23. Then you're on the path of mastery. Then the last number right before this is 32. You are still frozen. These are all frozen. You are a zombie. You're not able to act on your own. You are still programmed. Okay. Then when you reach the 33, you melt. This is the first melting. And suddenly you become fluid. You are like a fluid warrior. And if you are awakened and integrated, you will be fluid and attached only to truth, nothing else. You won't be attached to scripture or your neighbors or your church or your parents or your people who criticize you, nothing. You will only be attached to truth. And the reason why this adds up to a 6 is because you will be master within this number, which is the field number. Now, gosh, I'm really sorry this video is getting so long. There's so much I want to tell you. Just don't turn away from this number just because it's a Freemason number. In the old days, very old, the Freemasons, I believe, they meant to do well, and they were taken over. I just looked up, I I just looked up on Wikipedia, and I want to bring you this video about the history, some of the history having to do with say to the mountain move. And from that history, it looks like there was a period where the Vatican was actually good, and then that was taken over. And that kind of goes along with what I had learned from the Anunnaki that I told you before about how Marduk Ross set up the Vatican, and he actually had good intentions when he did this. And he was a Nephilim, or what we would call those who from the heavens fell, from the 9 to the 6. He actually had good intentions. It doesn't make him a god, but he had good intentions. Anyway, this is a field number, and that's because in those days of Gilgamesh and the ancient ones, the lowest you could fall was the 6th. We are now below that. We are in the 3rd. So that's why you're feeling it. Very soon, many people are expecting we will be returned to the 6th, because it's we deserve it. We have a right. That was the original creation, was the 6th, and it was meddled with by the Nephilim, and now we will be restored to the 6th dimension. And then from there, because all of the people here are like heroes, and they did very well in the 3rd dimension, from there, much of humanity is going to pop immediately up and evolve straight up out of the dome past the 9th. Now, our overlords, these Anunnaki gods, they're going to stay in the 9th. And that's why they don't want you to go. They're going to stay, actually the ones who fell are going to stay in the 6th. And they might even stay in the 3rd. They're not going to pop up the way that we will pop up. If you expand your heart and you hold all humanity in love in your heart, you can bring as many as you can hold it with love with you. When you go, you will go to the 6th dimension, because you will be restored to your rightful place, which is the 6th dimension. That's where you were supposed to be. Okay, so say to the mountain, move. Now, 27 minutes. Let's just go to move. In the center, we have the O and the V. The V, I've told you before in my video about L, Nat King Cole, and L is for the way you look at me. V is, oh yeah, here we are. Okay, so here, V is code for the 144,000, because if the way this is drawn, and I learned this from ancient jewelry that was encoded, the way this is drawn is it has an angle of 14.4 on either side from the center of the V. The O is the 6. It's the field number, and it's also the map of the 4 corners inside the dome. It goes inside the 4 corners of the dome. The dome really does have 4 corners. It really does. Okay, anyway, you add these together, you have 37, which is the first half of the mirror of 3773. This is also a 1010. This is Ra up, Ra down, an upright Ra, and a fallen Ra. Both of those things integrated. Ra had a twin, and the twin was a giant snake named Apophis. We know there's a lot of twin symbolism today. It's still all about integrating the twin. Okay, well, this is also the 12th prime. And then the 73, which is the mirror of this, is the 21st prime. The 12th and the 23 is the 33, and that is the mastering of the matrix, because this is the 73 and the 37 and the 73 are the codes for the star matrix, and that's a code for the basic, like if you take the very complex geometry of our matrix and you flatten it, it's a star matrix based on these numbers, and based also on 3, 6, and 9. So that's why this is in the center. That's why this is in the center of this. Now, I've told you before, M and E that's the word for me, and it's also the letter R, which is the opening. The letter R is the birthing. If this is your first video with me, I'm just going to explain this just for you, because everybody else has heard it. The B is Isis. She's the conduit for the Christ. She's the Holy Mother. She has a bunch of names. So if you're Christian, please don't be offended by all the different names. I'm not the only one to say all the different names. I'm not Christian. I'm not any I'm not Egyptian. I don't worship Isis. None of this. I just tell you how I see it. So the letter B was written after Isis. The people who created the English language honored the sky goddess as the conduit, as the birth of the Christ. And it was the letter B. She's the 1, the 2, and the 3. She has the second place in the alphabet. Her husband is the 1, which ends up to be Osiris. And she gives birth to the Trinity, which is the Christ. So she combines all of that plus B. The summation of B is 3. Okay, so that was for the new people. Welcome to my channel. Sorry, this is probably going pretty fast. So that's why, okay, so the R is the opened B. She gave birth. That's the manifestation. That's the movement of birth. That's why Christ has the CH and the R. It's the movement. And the R is the last letter in the achromatic cipher before the M, because it comes through the M. And I'm not going to explain M to you. It's in too many other videos. But M is important. Oh my gosh. 1313, 44, 44th president. I don't know. I can't think of the video to refer you to. Anyway, you give birth to yourself. R. I don't have a pen or I draw an R. You give birth to yourself. You give birth to the me every second. You can reinvent yourself every minute. That's the manifestation movement of the R. That's the birthing. Okay, so that's what this whole word means. Say to the mountain, move. I didn't decode mountain here. Now, but if you add this all together, the inner core is the 22. Sorry about the focus. And then plus that is 37. So the 37 plus the 18 is 55. So you can see that. 55 is again the 10. It's again the upward and the downward pentacle. It's the integration of upward and downward evolvement. It's the balance of the master. But it's kind of where the rubber hits the road. The frequency of this number is the bump, bump, bum number. It equals quake. It equals alarm. It equals Snape. It equals all kinds of words that have a bump, bump, bum kind of feeling. It's where you get off your ass, you get your butt in gear, and the rubber hits the road. That's this number. Move. Okay? Anyway, so in this video, mostly what I brought to you was the decode of the Q and why the Q is on the main. This is where all the important people sit in the floor plan of the UN, and they worship pi, they worship phi, and Q interrupts phi. It's a power symbol. All right. I brought you a lot of stuff in this video. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.